Yes. I said you get a lunch. Yes.
You do get a lunch.
Yes.
You do get a lunch. But, you know, we also have this podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Semi-Books Podcast.
Hello.
This is Adrian District's Library's one and only podcast. This is the last episode before summer reading.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, wow. Oof, okay. Yay.
Just thought you should know, because we won't be doing another one in May, because this is the only May episode.
Only May episode, all right.
Because of everything else that's been going on.
You know.
For those who don't know, we got new carpet in the building.
On the main
On the
floor,
main
yay. Wait, even in this room, right?
No.
No, boo. Our recording studio doesn't have new, but whatever, who cares?
So, but I mean, like, it's really pretty out there. So if you haven't popped in, you probably should.
True.
So you can take a look at it, or look on Facebook, because I know we've uploaded pictures of the nice new carpet.
Just come to the library.
That too. Anyways, we should probably talk about what's entertaining us, huh?
Sure.
Rock, paper, scissors. I'm just kidding. I can go first.
Yeah, you go first. What are you? What's going on?
So for those who know and have been listening to me rant about this game for the past ages, months, I finished The Legend of Mana.
Yes.
Finally.
Okay.
And then I restarted it.
Oh, well, sure.
Because this is what's entertaining me right now. Mm-hmm. Because there's a couple different achievements that go along with it if you do a second run. Mm-hmm. But it goes to a thing called New Game Plus when you beat it. You can load up your save and start a brand new Game Plus.
Right.
And then when you start a New Game Plus, you get to keep all of your pets, all of your workshops, all of your money, items, weapons, whatever, your experience, all of that is right then and there.
Yeah.
However, one of the things that isn't a part of it is all of the levels are back down to 0. So if I'm starting this at level 62, everything is going to die immediately, right? There's a little tome inside of the library in the game where you can look at all your encyclopedias, and it's called the Forbidden Tome. And you can answer a couple questions, and you can start what's called Nightmare Mode. Nightmare Mode levels up everything in the game up 30 levels.
Okay.
And so it gives you a little bit of a harder go around. But there's an achievement associated with the other level after that. Because if you answer a couple of the questions correctly, you can start what's called No Future Mode. And No Future Mode means every single monster in the game is level 99. Every single one of them. Even if your stuff is not at level 99 yet, like your attack, none of that's at level 99 yet, everything else would be level 99.
So basically it's a mode for if you hate yourself or...
Yeah, and so I'm working up to that.
Okay.
Because I want the achievement.
Sure.
But I'm also trying to see if I can break the game a little bit, because when you're playing the game, there's a very specific order in which you play the quests to be able to do every single quest all in one go, which is why I was able to be at level 62, because it's once you do all of them, you're doing 68 quests. And so you get there.
You get there. Right?
But I might restart anyways, because I did learn a few things, start from scratch because I learned a few things. But I want to see if I can do this first.
Sure.
Because what I'm trying to see is if I can... You normally have 3 arcs you have to complete to be able to... You only have to complete one of them to unlock the final quest. I want to see is if I switch the order in which I do the quest arcs, if that changes the amount of quests I'm able to complete.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so I'm starting it that way before I turn around and start a brand new save, all in one go. Because I did learn how to actually temper weapons this time.
Oh, fun.
Which is they don't give you any information on how to do that. You're kind of running in blind. And so I have finally learned how to do that, and it is a wild time to do. But I want to see if I can switch up which arcs I do first.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically because there's this one character, his name is El Azul, and he's part of a group called the Jumi people. That's Jumi, friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it sounds funky. And the idea behind the Jumi people is they were once able to cry and give their life force to other people to be able to heal them and everything.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where, as a survival tactic, only one person who is elevated to that position of Clarivate is actually able to cry and heal people, and they basically give up their entire life force to be able to heal people their entire lives. Otherwise, they're basically like immortal.
Mm-hmm.
And so a couple people decide that to save everybody, they were gaslit by this monster called the Jewel Lord, who will eat the cores of everybody else to somehow save the Clarivate. That's not how this works. He's just doing it to become more powerful. And so it gets to the point where, like, you and whoever you pick at the very end quest to go with you are the last two there.
Oh.
And that one is the last person.
Mm-hmm.
And you cry. And the thing is, if a normal human cries for them, they turn to stone.
Oh.
Because they create a teardrop crystal. But it revives everyone. And in response, they all have to relearn how to cry to be able to give you a teardrop crystal so you don't become stone anymore. And technically that's the last quest before the very end.
Okay.
But I want to see if I can switch the order and do that one first. Because if you beat that one first, you can take Pearl and El Azul, who are the two characters that are the companions in that quest line. You could grab them and take them on any quest you want afterwards. And I kind of want to take them on more quests.
Oh.
Because sometimes they have very funny interactions with things.
Sure.
So that's what I'm doing. That's what's entertaining me. And it's a very interesting time frame to do this in.
Nice.
This is also the first game I ever beat when I was a kid at age 7. So
yeah,
it has a lot of love in my heart.
Yeah.
That's what's entertaining me at the moment. Tony, what is entertaining you? I don't know why I was like immediately like Tony.
I have a list.
You have a list?
Yes, because it's been a while since we've done this. Let's see. What am I watching? I'm actually not watching much right now. I'm doing my annual Big Bang Theory rewatch, but that's my evening show. It's not really.
You did a Star Wars marathon.
I did do a Star Wars marathon this weekend of the original trilogy, which
is really funny because I think
great.
that was playing on. There was a Star Wars marathon playing on AMC this weekend on the TV.
That's not surprising. That's because The Mandalorian and Grogu, which will be entertaining me before our next podcast.
I'm just saying they were doing a marathon.
Clear
My
your
brother
schedule on
was
Friday.
also watching that all this weekend.
So yes, The Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out, so it's not surprising. They're probably Star Warsing all over the place. Would be my imagined.
Well, it was
my
really
guess.
fun because my brother was watching the exact same marathon.
Yeah. No, it was very. I wasn't watching the AMC one, but yeah, I did watch the original trilogy just because it's been a while since I've done. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen any of the three.
The OG?
Yeah, which is interesting. But anyway, so did that. Speaking of Star Wars, there's the new Darth Maul Shadow Lord animated series, 10 episodes. Mr. Filoni, once again at it. It's really good.
Is it on Disney Plus or something?
It is on Disney Plus. Yes, it's extraordinary is maybe the wrong word to use, unless you're just really into this universe the way that I am. I really liked it. I thought it was very, very well done.
Is the art style similar to like the Clone Wars, or is it 2D? Or?
Yeah, like it's the same sort of animated style as it has been since Clone Wars. Just more and more. I think the best that they've done in terms of that particular animation style has been the Bad Batch. Actually, I thought those were really well, sort of like a masterwork of that form. But Darth Maul Shadow Lord actually has some really, really, really cool moments, including a confrontation that fans have been theorizing about ever since Darth Maul died in Episode 1 and then came back in the Clone Wars. Yeah, there's a confrontation that I did not see coming, and then it came, and I was like, shut up. And it's great. It's wonderful. And they saved it for May 4th, which is even better, so it's pretty cool. So that's great. If you're into it, go watch it. It's really good. I said I had a list. All right, those two. I I am playing Jedi Survivor again, but that's because I played Jedi Fallen Order. I'm into space games right now. I'm also playing the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game slowly, but it's very fun if you like action adventure in space with a team of ne'er-do-wells. There it is. It's pretty good. They're less ne'er-do-welly in this game, which is interesting. Like, their ne'er-do-welling is in the past. But they still have to do things like, they get fined by the Nova Corps, so they have to go get the money to pay off their fine because they're broke. And then that puts them into shenanigans with Cosmo and all the rest. So it's it's still ostensibly the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they're trying to actually be good, unlike they are in the movies where they're kind of forced to be good because it's either Thanos or nothing. It's a bit like America right now. Anyway, hang on. Before I get to the big thing that's entertaining me, I'm trying to think, do I have anything else? Just a couple of books I read recently. One called Hidden Empire by Kevin J. Anderson, which is the first of his space opera saga of 7 sons. There's the original series, which is 7 books, and then there's like a sequel series, which is a trilogy. And I don't know much about Kevin J. Anderson has like way too many books. It's just like over 200 books or something insane like that. So he's got original work, he's got non-original work, this licensed work, all that kind of thing. So this is one of his originals. I really liked it a lot. I listened to the audiobook a couple weeks ago by George Guidall. Nobody knows how to say his name. But, he's one of those godfathers of audiobook narration. Excellent narration, very good book. If you don't like lots and lots of characters with points of view, don't read it, because that is the book. Every 2 or 3 pages, you're changing character.
Tony's warning me, basically.
Yeah, it is not.
Tony knows my reading habits.
It is not for people who do not enjoy that, but I very much enjoy that. So it was very fun to sort of theorize, okay, well, why are we coming back to this character, or when will we come back to that character, and sort of figuring out who's important and who's not, and why they're the viewpoint character and not. And he kills a lot of people in this book too, enough to rival Game of Thrones, like the first Game of Thrones book. At least he kills more people, I think, than he kills more characters that have points of view than George Martin does in the first Game of Thrones book, which is interesting to me. So that's fun. It's great. It's a space opera, story. Lots of aliens and other things. It's hard to describe other than the humans and the aliens discover that there's another alien race that they may be or may not have angered by turning a gas planet into a sun. And that's sort of the baseline, but it's not the whole story. Anyway, so I read that. And I'm currently reading 2 books. One is called The Pride of Shanor by C.J. Cherryh, which is good so far. It's the audiobook I'm listening to. I'm still only like 4 chapters in. The writing style is not...
Wait, who's the author?
C.J. Cherryh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sold on the writing style. I think it's overly Baroque. It's from the 1970s, so it's just like, okay, yeah, but also the other book that I'm reading right now, which I'm going to get to, had already happened. You don't have to be Baroque. You're just doing this because that's what you want to do. Fine, whatever. It works. And also the point of view is a space cat, a sentient like space lion. So to some degree, it's like, okay, you're doing this because you're taking the alien perspective and flipping it and making the human the alien and all that kind of thing. So yeah, okay, sure. But it's still, I think, overwrought. But so far I'm enjoying the story. The other thing that I'm reading, the big thing that I'm, did all this rambling to get to because I didn't want to rush it. I'm currently reading Dune. The very first Dune novel, which I know, if you're a regular listener to this podcast, or if you were a regular listener at one point,
Tony was like, at one point, they're like, I'm never going to read this.
I was never not going to read it. I was angry at the book because I didn't understand it.
Didn't we do...
We did a Dune episode, yes, in which
go back to the Dune episode and listen to Tony.
Yes, you can listen. I was very annoyed by something that I didn't realize at the time is actually what makes the book the first book work because, you know, the rest of the series comes along and does other things. And, you know, Dune Messiah is famously sort of overturning the hero in the first book. But I gotta tell you, I can maybe excuse people in the 60s and 70s, although I won't, because they were closer to the planetary romance game than we are. We should be more confused by how Frank Herbert chose to write Dune than they were in the 60s and 70s, because Dune is a planetary romance. When I say planetary romance, most people say A Princess of Mars, right? But for a modern example, I'm going to point you to Avatar. You know, James Cameron's dopey
Beauty
little...
and the Beauty and the Beast do, but we're blue people.
Dopey little Pocahontas movies in space. Well, it turns out that's literally John Carter of Mars. Like, Avatar is literally John Carter of Mars and everything that's followed from it. So is Dune. Here's an example. Okay, so the plot is human ends up on planet that they don't belong to via means of space something. And throughout the course of the plot, learns much about the planet, which is a foreign environment with a low-tech society that inhabits the planet, indigenous to the planet. And this person, usually a cis-het white male, ingratiates himself through some means into that society and becomes core to them and becomes their ruler / chieftain or their messiah or whatever it is, and then gains them a measure of freedom that they could not gain before, and what is pivotal to the planetary romance. So in every portal fantasy, there's always the journey back home, right?
Yeah.
You see that with Harry Potter, you see that with Narnia. They always go back home to Earth, right? The world. Planetary romance is exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
They belong now to the tribe, Avatar. It's literally, that's the entire formula, is that from the very beginning to all the way till now, which... Anyway, that's a whole thing. So Dune is a classic example of this, right? But what makes Dune the book brilliant in ways that we as modern readers don't understand, because we don't think of Avatar as science fiction, we think of it as fantasy, or we think of it as bad science fiction, is that the entire way Frank Herbert is poning A Princess of Mars, going, it takes a lot of work to colonize a planet. Just ask the colonizers, which is the reason the Atreides family is the point of view perspective, because they're the colonizers, and the book makes no bones about frequently calling them. They call themselves colonizers.
Like, they already know. Like, even in the movie, they already know.
Yeah,
like,
it
literally explains it, like, right then and there at the very beginning of the movie. Like, we've taken over this contract to, like, extract stuff from this planet.
And I will say,
and we're gonna go take over now.
Yeah, and I will say that the movie doesn't have the same opportunities that the book has to, because you're not inside anybody's mind, so you don't really know how much these characters know unless they tell you.
Right.
You know, in the book, you know everything. Like, the only thing you don't know is who's going to win or who's not. But if you are familiar with planetary romance, you're like, well, Paul's going to end up on the road somewhere in the middle of these, and the people are going to accept him.
And then his son becomes a worm.
Yeah, like, you know that's going to happen if you're familiar with the trope.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it became as big of a deal as it became. As I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, you know, this wasn't done before 1960. Like, you didn't do this to planetary romance before 1965, because you had 3 decades of people redoing A Princess of Mars, thinking that they were being clever. And they were just retelling the same story, the same way that you kind of retell a fairy tale, you know, over and over again. But until someone comes along and says, hey, wait a minute, there's stuff underpinning that. Are we paying attention to what's underpinning that? Because it's kind of... Do you guys know how colonialist this is? Oh, okay. And so then Frank Herbert, you know, and...
He's like, yeah, we understand. Here's why it's bad.
And I think that's one of the reasons that, like, modern readership tends to be split down that. Like, if they get to Dune Messiah, they're like, oh, but it takes them getting to Dune Messiah to get it. Whereas if you are familiar with just the bare bones tropes of a planetary romance, and you go in with the knowledge, like, oh wait, Dune is a classic example of this, then your reading of it is enhanced, because you're like, oh my god, there, and there, and there.
Yep.
Oh, yep. So, you know.
I legit did that with Legend of Mana the other day, because they turned around and I started my New Game Plus, and I started the arc for the Jumi arc. And I get to the first quest, and the first quest you go into this place, and there's this lady who's like an assassin who's stealing all the cores from all these different people. And I walk into shop to buy a new weapon. Not really, but just to see if there was anything new in there. And I walk in, and the jewelry store person is there from a completely different city that you'd never see until very later on. And I sat there and I went, oh my god, because it's like, you see the character from the side, and I saw a little piece of the pixel art that matches the pixel art for the actual assassin character. And I sat there and I went, you've been this the entire time? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah. So,
Grant,
what's the name of that movie that you just showed me that I really loved?
Andrei Rublev?
Andrei Rublev, yes. I passed the baton to you by saying I loved that movie. I thought it was probably the best movie I've seen in quite a few years.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Easily.
Tony says that, and now you're going to show them a movie that'll be even better.
I mean, there's been quite a few movies that I've seen because of him that I've enjoyed a lot, but this one, Crash was my favorite that I've seen in a long time until this one, I think. Yeah. Just because it has a...
Yeah, Crash is one of my favorites.
Anyways,
Crash is very good.
Grant.
But yes, Andrei Rublev, very long but very good. Very well worth it.
I agree.
Yes. Now it's your turn.
I've started and I've pretty much been watching nonstop Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Which is my first official foray into Star Trek, other than, the Chris Pine movies and the odd Next Generation episode.
Yeah.
And the Chris Pine movies are fine for what they are.
They're Star Wars branded as Star Trek. Let's be real.
Exactly. But yeah, it's very consistently good. There really hasn't been a single stinker episode. There's certainly ones that are better than others.
Yeah.
Some border on filler episodes, but even those,
sure.
The characters are very, stand out and unique. So
nice.
If you enjoy them, even in the less eventful episodes, you'll have stuff to enjoy. I love Odo. I love Quark. Quark's my funny little guy / criminal.
Isn't he the?
He's the proprietor of the on-station casino and bar.
That's right. Yes. Okay,
Yep.
I've seen a handful of Deep Space Nine episodes, but yeah. Okay.
He's a criminal with a heart of gold, I'd say.
Well,
Yeah. Yep. And him and Odo kind of have, because Odo's he's the shapeshifter. Kind of constable of the space station. So if you don't know, it all unlike the Next Generation where they're on a ship and they're always going from one planet to the next, a lot of it takes place on this space station called Deep Space Nine. It's next to this big wormhole that opened up, so the whole galaxy has taken notice and new species are coming through the wormhole, and so there's lots of first contacts and stuff. Some go well, some don't. Yeah. And they're orbiting a planet where there was a recent
Civil War?
Not really a civil war. The planet's Bajor, and the Bajorans were basically, their planet was taken over by the Cardassians, not the Kardashians.
Right. Yes.
As I've accidentally said a few times.
That's right. Yeah.
But and they there was a resistance and they pushed them off, but there's still lingering tensions and they're trying to form a new government and stuff. And there's a Bajoran member of the crew on the space station, and that leads to some friction.
Yeah.
So far it's a great show. It's kind of my comfort show right now.
Yeah.
As I go through season 2, there's more. Because season 1 was a lot of standalone episodes, and there's still a lot of standalone episodes in season 2, but it starts with a 3-part, story where more stuff happens and it leads from one episode into the other. And I hear that's gonna become more of the norm as it goes along.
Yeah.
So, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. Still addicted to Slay the Spire 2. I've almost unlocked all the epochs, which is how you unlock, you learn lore about the world, but also, it's just, you can unlock new items and stuff, potions, but yada, 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 yada. I've almost got them all. So
nice.
That I'm reading 2 books. I'm reading Medieval Civilization by Jacques Le Goff. which is exactly about what it sounds like.
Yes.
Yes. It's kind of bisected down the middle. First half is like the material evolution of medieval civilization from like 400 to 1500, and then the second half is more like people's, the people's viewpoints and beliefs and stuff, and throughout that whole period and how those evolved, which I haven't made it to yet. But
Yeah.
It has ample maps, sketches. Very, very, very informative so far. I mean, I was just literally just looking for a good overview of the medieval age in Europe, and so far this is.
You should check out Dan Jones.
Dan Jones.
Yes, he is. I don't know if his most famous book is Powers and Thrones, but he was cited as someone that George Martin loved to read and continues to love to read as a medievalist. He's a popular historian, but he's Middle Ages is his realm. So he wrote a book on the Templars. He wrote a book about
Dan Jones. Okay,
he's sort of broken down the Middle Ages. So if you're if you had the overview in your head, you can sort of.
I think we have one or two of his books here.
Yeah, you can sort of go through that and sort of see. He's drifted now into novels, but like just as a popular historian, he has sort of that. I don't know.
Readability.
Yeah, readability, but also that he's covered so many different areas in like book to book, which I think is very interesting. If you have the overview in your head, so if you wanted specifics, basically.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I'll definitely look into that. And like I said, this one's more of a general overview than any specific time period or anything. But I have a few books on like the time of Charlemagne and stuff, which I may delve into afterwards if I feel like it. But I'm reading that, and then I'm reading Sculpting in Time by Andrei Tarkovsky, the director of Andrei Rublev.
Yes.
It's kind of his manifesto and theories on film, very interesting. I'm about halfway through. I don't agree with everything. He's very open-minded in some ways and curmudgeon-y in others.
I think that's the sign of a great artist, personally, but that's just me.
True. No, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Also a very spiritual person, which can put some people off.
Okay.
And that kind of intermingles with some of his thoughts, as far as like truth and film and how art is a search for truth, and which I may or may not agree with in some ways. But, I'm just now getting to like where he gets into like his ideas on editing and stuff, which
fun.
Is kind of where the Sculpting in Time comes in. So that's kind of what I was looking forward to the most.
Cool.
So maybe I'll give a little update once I finish the book.
Sure.
And that's what's been interesting me. So, what are we talking about?
Well, speaking of space.
Yeah, because there's a real space theme going on here today, talking about space stuff. Have you ever heard of a show called Doctor Who?
Who? Of course. Yeah. You can't help it. So we're going to talk about Doctor Who, which is probably space fiction is dopey on the whole. Well, not on the whole. That's not fair. All right, let's just boil this down. Space exploration fiction has a long history of being dopey because its origins are frontier-based.
New frontier.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, now, mind you, I'm, really in this corner of the universe right now, so I have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to edit it all the way down to essentially what happened is in the turn of the 20th century, the Western, as a mode of written fiction, was being absorbed into radio. Mm-hmm. So you were getting lots of horse operas on the radio. And so people could just turn on the radio and listen to it. Why would they want to sit down and read a Western? And so the frontier for writers who wanted to write sort of outside of the domain of realistic fiction or whatever it was, that particular frontier, they used to just do Westerns. Now, at that time, at the turn of the 20th century, they weren't doing that anymore because of radio and probably other concerns. And the little known, some Americans were like, yeah, but you know what we don't know about? Outer space. We can see them. We know they're up there. We know they're round. But what is Venus exactly? What's on it? what's on Mars? Where did that go? And so, Edgar Rice Burroughs and Doc Smith and H.G. Wells was another progenitor of that. C.S. Lewis also was a progenitor of that in the 50s and 60s when he wrote his space trilogy. Which is one of the reasons that, like, Middle Earth and Narnia feel like planets in some senses. They're, like, they're, the movements of the stars and things like that. Some of their characters are even stars because they're thinking of these places as planets, not as countries. Anyway, all that is to say, so of course Doctor Who would come along out of all of that. I mean, Dune came out of that, as well. Star Wars, which is calling back to Flash Gordon and all this. It all comes from the same,
Doctor Who
huge...
first aired in 1963.
Exactly.
My question, which is a very interesting thought, because, obviously we've had frontier stories for, since ever.
Yes.
How did the space race influence that?
I think it made it last longer, but
was the space race influenced by Frontier?
Well, I think the space race definitely was influenced by decades of science fiction that was propagating about, well, what do we do when we get to the stars? And the question became harder and more complicated for science fiction writers once we got to the moon and realized, oh, wait, there's not a whole colony of random aliens here. Because life cannot be sustained here. Like that whole idea, that's where you start seeing the shift, I think, after the space race. One of the reasons that Doctor Who continues to be zany is because and increasingly zany, I think, is because in order to sell an audience in 2026 on a populated universe with all the aliens that you can think of, you have to just go goofy. You have to go, well, okay, these people... there's no way that, an alien made entirely of the fat of humans could exist. It can in Doctor Who. Why? Because we don't even really know we know where the Doctor came from, quote unquote, but we've never... I say we've never seen Gallifrey. Maybe we've seen Gallifrey so far at this point. I'm not really sure. Because I'm a few Doctors behind. We should tell people what Doctor Who is, just in case.
So Doctor Who is a TV show. I'm going to read kind of a little detail from the original Doctor Who stuff from Wikipedia, but just so that way we can understand.
Yes, it's dopey space opera, but you're like, wait, what?
So Doctor Who was basically like this character who originally was like this old man who's lost in time and space from a really, really far away alien race kind of thing. So he presents as a human, but in actuality, when you...
He's an alien.
Go through the show, he's an actual alien instead. And he, in the original series, in the 1963 series, is an amnesiac and has no clue who he is. Which they really much lean into when they get to the reboot later on, and it makes so much more sense later. But that's because they've had decades to add lore and create storylines for this.
Yeah.
But basically, it was originally created per Wikipedia, which I think is really interesting because there is like a actual thought for this, but it was intended to be kind of like more like educational.
Oh well, that was 60s television.
Yeah, general. But then it just didn't. And I guess the first Doctor was what's his name? William Hartnell was the first Doctor ever. And so his idea is, the Doctor basically has this TARDIS, and the TARDIS is a police box. And
it looks like a police box.
And it's basically like, those tents from Harry Potter where you go in and it looks like a normal sized tent and you go in and it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. The TARDIS does the exact same thing. In fact, the TARDIS did it first.
TARDIS, in fact, did it first.
Yes. The joke behind the TARDIS looking like a police box is that there's some type of camouflage thing that's supposed to be going on with the...
Yes, but what is the TARDIS?
The TARDIS is the spaceship for the Doctor.
And what does that spaceship do?
It time travels.
Exactly. Yes.
But
making Doctor Who a time traveler. That's important.
Doctor, the police box is supposed to be like able to change the form it looks in dependent on where in time they are and where they're at to like kind of like blend in.
Sure. Yes.
Instead, it can only turn invisible, and the reason behind it is because there's a gag in the show that says that the little camouflage thing is broken and he has no idea on how to fix it.
Yes.
The real reason is because if they were to turn around and CGI and or reframe that box every single time they went to a new location, it would get really, really expensive, and they probably didn't want to spend that much money. So they just used the dang police box.
And they didn't have the technology to do something.
And this
like that
show
in the
was
60s.
brought up by the BBC television station out in the UK, so this is a UK production.
Mm-hmm.
And there are currently, how many Doctors? 14? Yeah, because the Lady Doctor was 13, and then now
And Ncuti, was he the 14th Doctor?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then David Tennant came back for a stint, so he was technically 15, but since he's reprising his role, I don't count that.
Well, yes, because
And
he was
then
pre-Ncuti.
Now, then there was,
and he was only here for 2 episodes.
spoiler alert, Rose was the Doctor for like 0.2 seconds.
Apparently, but they never actually... Like, she was at the end of Nchuti's, like, they revealed that, you know, the Doctor looks like Rose.
Yeah.
But there's not been any development since then. Like, they haven't actually...
is the 15th Doctor.
15th, okay. So they haven't actually, like, moved forward with Billie Piper as the Doctor.
She is the cliffhanger at the very end
at the very end of the season.
So
yes,
she's
exactly.
technically the new Doctor, but we don't know anything else because they haven't released the new season.
So the thing that you have to know about Doctor Who, the other thing that you have to know about Doctor Who is that the Doctor, as an alien, this is part of what makes him alien, is that he never dies, he regenerates. So every time that he takes on a new form, a new actor is cast. Think of like how The Crown recasts their whole cast every 2 seasons to keep up with the growth of the characters throughout decades. That's the similar thing. It's just every Doctor that comes afterwards is a new
In the show, they also
physical.
explain it by the more he's in the box and time traveling to different locations, he's supposedly aging backwards, or like...
Oh, that's a Stephen Moffat edition, and we completely disavow anything Stephen Moffat added to those shows.
At the end of every season,
Except
he
Matt
regenerates and he becomes a new Doctor, and it's supposedly a new age, and so then you get new companions dependent on what's going on and things like that.
Yeah, because he just travels throughout time.
We've had 15 Doctors. However, at the end of Nchuti's run, this is the first time, and I don't know if it's a Stephen Moffat edition, but this is the first.
No, he's not involved anymore.
This is the first time we've had a previous Doctor be the Doctor and then regenerate into a previous character.
You mean this is the first time we've had a companion or a Doctor look like a companion?
Yeah.
Yes. If it is in fact...
However,
if Billie Piper is in fact going to be the new iteration of the Doctor, that would be a first. Which would be very interesting.
So there's stuff, and so spoiler alert for people who aren't really too familiar with the most recent season, or not recent, but like... the 10th Doctor and stuff like that. So that's the David Tennant and Billie Piper part of Doctor Who. Billie Piper goes through this whole entire thing with the, what is it, the wolf thing?
Bad Wolf. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bad Wolf plot, yeah.
So the thing with Billie Piper becoming the next Doctor, or at least being part into it for the next like little bit here with that cliffhanger, is we don't know if this is a new Doctor iteration, this is a continuation of Bad Wolf, or if this is the Doctor regenerating into Rose Tyler because that's what he felt most comfortable with in that moment.
Yeah.
There's 3 different things, and from what we saw from the very end of that episode, it's kind of inkling that it's not Doctor, it's Rose, or it's more Rose Tyler Bad Wolf flavored. And the reason being is the way that it ends is she kind of looks at herself and goes, I'm Rose? But, like, recognizes who she is and thinks she's Rose Tyler. If that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so it might be, we haven't really confirmed. We're waiting for the Christmas special.
Yeah, because there's a lot that could be...
The thing is
that could go into that.
I don't think it's permanent. I think they will have a new Doctor by that point. Part of the thing is the Christmas specials of the Doctor Who, which is a really kind of like...
It's iconic.
It's an iconic part of the newer series.
I've only seen the one with Dumbledore, so...
Dumbledore! Anyways, the Christmas episodes always have some type of shenanigans, and it references other things that have happened in other episodes.
Well, for example, David Tennant reprised his role as the Doctor for a Christmas special.
Yeah.
So oftentimes they will do things like that, like have a former Doctor reprise the role for the length of the Christmas special.
Yep.
Because it makes the Christmas special, you know.
So this might be one of those things, and then the Christmas special might have to do with Bad Wolf, which is a whole other issue, and I'm not going to explain Bad Wolf to you. You guys can go watch
Bad
the
Wolf is not that complicated. Here's the thing about Doctor Who that is why we don't like Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat tried to franchise
Wait. Before we get started, who's Stephen Moffat?
Okay, so Stephen Moffat is a television writer. He is the Cassandra Clare of television, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, Cassandra Clare. You have 4 plots. Work on that. Anyway, by which I mean to say, so Stephen Moffat ran a show called Sherlock at one point. He also ran...
And Sherlock is a hot mess. As much as I love it...
Sherlock is a hot mess.
Please don't come for me, Sherlock fans.
No, listen.
But
Sherlock is
honestly,
a hot mess.
I didn't even get into it because it is such a hot mess in the first place.
It's a hot mess. Yeah. It's if you know that going in, if you know that it's just madcap hijinks inside of Stephen Moffat's weird, twisted TV imagination, it works. You have to squint at it, but it works. But he doesn't care about faithfulness to any kind of he doesn't care about any of that kind of stuff. He just wants you to live in his universe, which I suppose is the job of every writer, whatever. But Stephen Moffat was running Sherlock, and he was also running Doctor Who for quite a few seasons, at least throughout the entire Matt Smith run. I think he took over initially from Russell Davies, who is king, who is queen, who is emperor. He is all the things. We love him. Russell T. Davies. He's also gay, which I love very much about that. He's everything. Anyway, so I think Simon Moffat took over from Russell T. Davies. I can't remember quite when. I think it was at the end of Tennant's run, beginning of Smith's run, but it may have. It was a long time coming, I think, because Moffat was on the show before he took over. My biggest problem, and I'm not alone in this, I know, but I will just state for my own purposes because people complain about things in their own way. My real issue with Stephen Moffat on Doctor Who is that he attempts to do something that Doctor Who is not designed to do, which is create a through line, which I know sounds...
He does.
And that's the problem, is that Doctor Who resists the through line. It's not designed for that. And so here comes this person who's like, but the story has to make sense. And it's like, first of all,
he tries to...
Mr. Moffat, if you wanted stories to make sense, you would not have written Sherlock the way that you wrote Sherlock, which literally doesn't make sense.
The easiest way to explain how Stephen Moffat is writing... did write Doctor Who was he tried to connect the 11th Doctor all the way back down to like the very beginning with like the 9th Doctor and like different like storyline connections.
Even before some of this older stuff got in, and like he was just trying to like instead of it being the kind of thing that many pre 2000s, we'll say, television and space, particularly in the space opera arena. Star Trek The Next Generation is also like this. Star Trek The Original Series is also like this. You don't care about continuity. You want character continuity because people might be watching more than one show and that kind of thing.
Story arcs exist, and why we like story arcs, because once the arc is done, yes, you could probably reference it again, but once it's done, and you can start a brand new arc, and it's a whole new thing.
Well, yeah, but because that's the thing that people people who are used to watching television from the early 2000s forward, I would say from Mad Men forward, people are used to a certain kind of style of television, which just was not, it happened, but it was not common, which was, all television used to be episodic. All of it. Because people worked. And even if you had a nighttime drama, it was like Law and Order. Like, every episode.
ER
is... Right.
God, hold on. I could tell you how many episodes ER is every single freaking season.
It's why older shows tend to be really hard to binge watch. Because they weren't designed to be binge watched.
I love binge watching them.
They were designed for commercial breaks. They were designed for, all that kind of stuff. So when Moffat gets a hold of it, it's right in that post Mad Men golden age of, silver age, I guess, renaissance, the television renaissance that everybody kept talking about. Breaking Bad brings that on. All that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
Also kind of kicked that off.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. And then, Game of Thrones
season
is like...
one of ER by itself is 25 episodes.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones is like a peak example of what you can do when you are in the Renaissance, television Renaissance, and you're attempting to tell a big story with a big finish and all this kind of stuff. And so it's not to say that form of television is bad or wrong or, whatever. It's to say that Stephen Moffat took something that was designed to be episodic and not really connect and tried to make a Game of Thrones out of Doctor Who. And you're just like,
the thing
sir,
is, the fans on Tumblr will kind of agree with Tony on this because there's quite literally... Whenever there's a fandom and it's a Super Who-Lock fandom and Supernatural's kind of included in there, but I'm gonna ignore Supernatural for like 0.2 seconds. In the Who-Lock part of the fandom, which is Doctor Who and Supernatural,
and Sherlock.
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
There is quite literally GIFs, and you could probably go back farther into the Tumblr community, and obviously any other community as well, but I was more involved in those. Where quite literally there are GIFs, and it's just, because there's a comedy sketch that David Tennant does where he just starts like going like Moffat, and he's like shaking his fist in the air.
Yeah.
And so... everybody turned that into a GIF, and so now there's like 500 different GIFs of this on the internet, and every single time in a new Doctor Who episode, and I remember this so vividly, every single time in a new Doctor Who episode, if something happened that was completely and utterly stupid or insane or did not make sense, because why was he doing this? Somebody would make a post about it on Tumblr, and then somebody else would just respond to it with a GIF. That specific one.
Okay, so let's take Bad Wolf for an example, right? Bad Wolf was from the Russell T Davies revival series. The first one was the Ninth Doctor, was Christopher Eccleston, who, honestly, if he ever decides to come back, we are all rooting for that because he was excellent and he only got one season and I'm still
He
mad
was
about
phenomenal.
But he was replaced by David Tennant, who was just that much better.
He's a gem.
He's extraordinary.
We love him.
But what Moffat does with Bad Wolf in Eccleston's season, you think Bad Wolf means something. And then you get no answers because the Doctor regenerates and we're on to Tennant and we're off to some new shenanigans and you're just like, but what about... It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
And then they bring it back at some random point and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and so but Moffat does in his initial run of Doctor Who with Matt Smith, there's a little crack in the wall in Rose's bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And every episode, you see that same stupid crack in the wall everywhere they go. And they're like, there's that crack in the wall again. And the further on you get, the more you're like, this is going to go somewhere, and I'm not going to like it, am I? And then you get to the end of the season and you realize, of course you don't like it. Because what is the crack in the wall? In a show about a time-traveling alien who has a literal time-traveling box as his spaceship, it's a weird crack in time where things go that aren't supposed to be there. And you're like, wow, that's the best you could come up with? Sir, you're getting paid how much money to write television for that?
Yes, Grant.
No,
So-
I wasn't. No.
I will also say that the crack in the wall was really bad foreshadowing this entire time because, like...
Because it wasn't foreshadowing.
Because it wasn't really foreshadowing.
It was just...
No, but they were... So the thing is, they were attempting...
It's a fissure in time. Really?
They're trying to attempt to foreshadow it to you. But the thing about that, in my opinion, that makes it bad foreshadowing is the fact that when you switch from one doctor to another, and everybody who watches Doctor Who can attest to this, if you've never seen the Doctor before, you just start with whichever doctor is your most current doctor. And then you go from there.
Basically, yeah.
So everybody who's going into David Tennant's version of this have never seen Christopher Eccleston before, they have no clue that there's a previous Doctor before this unless they go take a deep dive right before it.
Which I did. I started there.
So, like, everybody's watching this, and if you've probably seen 9 before, and you know, obviously, the stuff with the Bad Wolf, you might have a slight inkling of, oh, there might be something there, and you might know to watch for the foreshadowing. But if you've never seen it, you have no clue what you're looking at, and you're just going, why are we every single episode zooming in on the stupid crack in the wall? Because it's not doing anything.
Well, and, like, I do think it's...
Also, if you do it for that many episodes for that long...
Yeah, it's
gonna lose its value, and you need to be doing it maybe for, like, let's say 2 episodes instead of 1, or the whole entire season, because if you're seeing it for 2 episodes... and then all of a sudden something happens, then you go, oh, that actually has, like, a thought. But once you see it for, like, 10 episodes straight of a stupid crack in the wall, you're just going to be like, yeah, okay, I get it. We see the crack in the wall.
Yeah, it's like the worst of comic book writing where, you know, they try to loop it all together and you're suddenly just like, this was better when they were separate. Why are we still... No, you know. But I enjoyed Matt Smith's run for Matt Smith, not for Stephen Moffat's writing, which is the only way to get through it, in my view. There are people who can't watch Matt Smith's run as the Doctor because of the writing. But I personally didn't have an issue with... I had issues with the writing, like I just said. But Smith's performance as the Doctor, I felt was quite wonderful.
He was my first
and
one.
I really loved that. And so I think a lot of people did. A lot of people really moved. Like, the Doctor Who became huge when Matt Smith was on it, in part because of in huge part actually because of Super Who-Lock.
Actually,
there being this massive just group of people.
BBC had Merlin right before they had the new Doctor Who episodes. So people were watching Merlin too at the time when it started. So when the new season came out, everybody was watching both at the same time. Yeah. I would know I had the VPN thing to watch BBC Live when it happened. So I was watching it. So Super Who-Lock had to do with it too, but it also...
Super Who-Lock made it huge. Because Merlin wasn't big enough to make the new Doctor anything other than, oh, this is cool, and you might have gotten, like, part of the Merlin fan base, but Super Who-Lock existing at that time.
Merlin was its own
merged
issue.
People. Yes, Merlin became
Merlin
which I love.
Own issue. Stay tuned for that episode. That's a whole other issue.
I liked Merlin. Well, I didn't watch all of it, but I liked what I thought.
I did. Don't even get me started.
A few general questions.
Yes.
As 2 people who have seen much more Doctor Who than me, A, what do you like about Doctor Who the most? And B, what separates it from, say, other sci-fi shows in your mind? That
I would say the one thing that separates it always is its continued zaniness. It, again, Moffat problem is that he tried to make it too serious. Doctor Who's not supposed to be serious at all, ever. It is supposed to be zany. It has moments of high emotion per episode, depending on where. Like, if you see Daleks, expect there to be some high emotion, because the Daleks and the Doctor are enemies, mortal enemies for a reason.
If you see what Weeping Angels, expect the episode to be insanely
I
creepy.
seen one of those.
The Weeping Angels are horrifying,
and if you see
wonderful.
a gas mask, run. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. What I really like about Doctor Who, it has something to do with the zaniness, but what I actually really love about Doctor Who is how much heart there really is in this character who is a ceaseless wanderer. I mean, you know, he's essentially everything that we love about Gandalf is Doctor Who. But he has the ability to have that gravitas, that emotional, because he constantly believes in the sovereignty of every single race that exists, even if that race's sovereignty includes gobbling up another race. He comes in and is sort of like, all right, hold the phone, and is sort of like translator between them. And that role he takes very, very seriously, which is just endearing.
To also talk about the heart of, like, the Doctor Who episodes in general, there's a specific episode that if you ever get a chance to watch it, I would recommend watching, because I think it kind of, like, encapsulates both the zaniness but also the heart at the same time in just one episode. And it's season 5, episode 10 of the most current, 2000s runs of Doctor Who. It's a Matt Smith episode, and that's the Vincent Van Gogh episode.
That was the first episode of Doctor Who I ever saw randomly on TV.
The Van Gogh.
So for those who have
really
never
good
seen
one.
Doctor Who before, if you need just like an episode to maybe kind of like sink your teeth into to go like, all right, do I actually like the zaniness and the heart at the same time? Find that episode, because the end of that episode always just makes me cry, but in a good way because of
really
how
good,
it
yeah.
ends.
If you want to sink your teeth in, I would highly suggest doing what I did, because it really helped me feel like I could get into it. Watch the Christopher Eccleston season, because it grounds you enough in what Doctor Who is. Like, without having seen the older Doctors, they just really kind of started from scratch, but they ground you really well into what it is. And then your relationships with the characters build over that time, and you kind of just want this zany group of people to win at all costs, and so that's fun to watch develop as they go forward. It is very British, the Eccleston season, in a way that the Matt Smiths were not, because once you globalize something, it becomes less and less a product of its country and more a product of the world. So I don't quibble with that. There are people in the UK who might, but I'm not British. But yeah, the Eccleston season is very British, but it is a great launching point because it's only like 12 episodes, 12 or 15. So it's not like you're like, if you don't like it by that point, then you might not enjoy Doctor Who. But I would say give it a go. It's well worth it.
Godspeed of finding it. My best way would be find somebody who has DVDs for it, because a lot of the newer stuff doesn't have, or the older stuff doesn't have a streaming home yet.
Yeah, I don't think that.
And a lot of the earlier episodes are lost, unfortunately.
A lot of the earlier old Doctor Who episodes, yes, are
Because
in
the
fact
BBC
lost.
would tape over the episodes to record new stuff.
They did indeed, because why
Yeah,
not?
that's what I would recommend, is just going on there and finding them on there. I know we have some of them here at the library, so if you would like to, you can check them out. Or if you are like me, there are binge passes for them on Hoopla.
Oh, yeah?
I just
That's fun.
For specific seasons.